Hello, so in this video we're going to take a look at building out a reasonably major feature. So one of the things that we get in Happy is given that it's an inbox basically for your team, you get quite a lot of junk, and sometimes you'll get junk coming in from multiple people at the same domain. So we already have a feature. We can go into a email and block this sender, which will just add their email address to a block list, and you'll not get any notifications and those emails won't land in your inbox. But let's say the spammers are starting to get smarter, which they are, and they start to send the same cold emails from multiple people at the same company. So let's say you're getting tortured by a company here, and you want to block the entire domain. So anything after the @ sign, any person that emails you from that domain is automatically blocked. So that's the feature we're going to take a look at building today. So the first thing that we're going to want is to create a blocked domain model and attach that to your team, so that whenever we go in here and have a block this domain button and we click it, we create an entry in that model. So I've made some notes around this feature, and essentially we've got the blocked domain model. Inside of that, we're also going to need a handy way to just parse the domain from a given email address. Then when you block a domain, we're going to look for all customers with that domain that are already existing and mark them as blocked. When new customers are created in the system by an inbound email or using the API, we're also going to just check if their domain is found in a block list, and if it is, they're going to be blocked from the get-go. And then the last thing we'll need is a UI in the settings menu to list out all of these blocked domains and give you a button to click to unblock, and basically then queue up a job that will go through and unblock all the matching customers. So let's get started by going in and generating this model. So we'll say Rails generate model, and we'll call it blocked domain. That's going to belong to a team, so we'll say team references, and it's going to have a domain which is a string, and I think that's it. So we'll go in and just take a look at the migration here, and we'll say that the domain is null false as well, because we want to make sure that it always has a domain. And now we can run that migration. So now that we've got our model, we'll go ahead and open that up. And we can see it belongs to a team here. So we can go into our RSpec file for that, and we'll create a method here, domain from email, and that'll take an email address and return a domain. So it returns the domain, and then we can write a spec here to say that let's say we have block domain dot domain from email, and we give it the email of bob@example.com. We then expect that domain. Expect domain to equal, and we'll say example.com. So that's enough there that we can run that, and we'll get an error that the method doesn't exist. Undefined method, and we can go ahead and create that, and we'll say email, and we can run that test again, and we expected example.com and we got back nil. So let's go ahead, and the easiest thing we could probably do is say email and split it on the @ sign and then call .last, and that passes. Then we can go through here and write a test for let's say it returns nil when there is no domain. And then if we just say Bob, we'll expect that to be nil. Run that, see what happens. Expected nil and we got Bob, so there's something going wrong here. Okay, so we've got mail address here, and I think this is the way to go. So let's go back to our code and we'll say mail address .new, and then we'll say address equals email, and we can return address.domain. So let's run that. That passes, and let's see what this one does. That returns nil as well. So I think that's exactly what we want to do, and given that's part of the mail library, it should be pretty robust for parsing and things like that. So that kind of solves our first two points. So we've got our block domain model, and we've got a method to get a domain from an email address. The next thing then, when blocking, look for all customers in that domain, mark them as blocked. And then, yeah, so let's take a look at this first, and let's just go ahead and create the UI. So we want to have a button that sits down beside block this sender called block this domain, and we'll set up a controller action for that and write a request spec so we can start getting our head around some of this code. So I'll go ahead here into views and message threads, I believe, and then the show action. And so we've got merge button here, unblock button, and block button. So we can go ahead and copy this, and we'll just go down here and call this, let's search for we'll say block domain button and unblock domain button. Block this domain. Actually, we'll get rid of this for now because we don't need it just yet. So we'll say block this domain and block domain button. And then we've got block customer path. So that should be on customer controller. Where we've got block and unblock, but we probably just want to create a block domains controller. So if we go ahead and do that now, so let's do Rails generate controller blocked domains, and that creates us a controller and a request spec, which is perfect. And I really don't know why Rails generates with single quotes here and double quotes here. It is very inconsistent. So block domains, and we'll want to go into roots. And I like to try and keep these in alphabetical order if possible. So we'll go here and say resources blocked domains, and for now we'll say only, and we'll put create and destroy. And so we can go into our controller here as well, and we'll create methods for those. And then in here as well. So describe, and we'll say create. Or it should probably be describe post blocked domains. And we'll say it blocks the, it creates a blocked domain. And we can also go up here, and I think I've got some test users set up. So I've got test users Pete. So we'll grab this and we'll say before sign in users Pete, and I'll make sure that we're signed in and we've got a current team selected and all of that, so that when we run our command here and we say post blocked domains, we'll give some params here. Let's say we give params email, and we'll give the full email address to the controller. So let's say like we have bob@example.com, and then we expect, we expect that when this runs, we expect it to change blocked domain count by 1. So that's probably the most simple thing we can do. We can also say like blocked domain equals, and we'll say blocked domain dot last. We can assert that blocked domain dot domain is equal to example.com. And this should give us a pretty thorough test to run. So we get undefined domain for nil class because there are no blocked domains currently. And if we then go to our controller and in this create action, we'll say current team. And the first thing actually we'll need to do is go into our team, and it's going to need to have many blocked domains. So we'll say has many blocked domains, dependent destroy. And we can also like take this and go to our team spec. So I'm using pseudo matchers here to run these. So we can go in here and say it's expected to have many blocked domains. We can run that and know that that's set up okay. So now we've got this method on our team. We can go in here and say current team.blockdomains.create, and do we want to do, yeah, we probably want to instead do where here, and we can say where domain is, and then we can also say block domain from email, and we can say params email to get that domain lookup. So the reason I'm doing a where it here is to make sure that we don't create this twice. So if it already exists, that's great. So we can say then first or initialize, and that's going to look up the domain. So let's say blocked domain equals, and it's either going to be the first one that's looked up, or else it's going to create us a new one here basically. So we can say blockdomain.save, and if we just go back and run this test, this should pass the test now, and it does. the next thing we're going to want to do here is assert what the response is. So we're going to say expect response to and redirect to. Just thinking where we want to redirect this to. It's probably the customer that we're blocking. So let's go back here and take a look. Maybe we want to load up a customer. And we've got one here, so Alex. And we'll go here and say let customer. And we'll load up customers, Alex. And then we can say here customer.email. And then we can also go to that and see what that email is. Hotmail.com. So we're blocking all of hotmail.com. Probably not a smart move, but that's fine. And then we want to expect the response to redirect to the customer, so that we can clearly see that we have blocked them and that it has worked. So we'll save this and run it. And so it was a 204 no content. So if we go back here, we're going to need to look up this customer. So we'll say customer equals current team dot customers dot find by, and we'll do this with a bang. So if the customer lookup fails, then we'll get an error, but we should only be blocking real customers. And then we can say customer.email in here. And finally at the bottom we can say redirect to customer. And that should be everything we need to make this work. So we'll run this again. And that works. And now we'll need a second customer using a Hotmail account to make sure, well, actually we want to assert that this customer is now blocked. So we can come down here and say it blocks customers with matching domains. And we can basically take this and then say customer.reload.blocked, to be blocked. Reload. And that fails currently, so we now then need to write some matching logic to find those customers by the domain and block them. So if we come back in here, we've got our blocked domain. We're saving it. We could then call another method on this, and we could say block matching customers. And we can go to this this model. We can create a method for that. So we'll say block matching customers, and then we can say team.customer.where and say email, and we could say like, let's see, we want to pass in the matcher, and then as our second argument here we can pass in matcher, and what we want is a string that starts with this %, and then has the domain, and that should hopefully get all of the customers. And then what we want to call on that is update all, and we're going to say blocked true. So hopefully this will work, and we'll go back and run our request spec. And we get a failure. So undefined method customer for team. So that should be customers plural. And we'll rerun. And now that passes. So that is blocking all the matching customers, which is good. Now we can probably step down and write a unit test for this. So we kind of started at the request spec level here, just to get a high level easy test in. It's probably worthwhile keeping this as well because it allows us to refactor later, but we've got that passing, and now we can kind of come back down here and write a unit test. So we can say describe, and what was that called? Block matching customers. And we'll just say it marks customers with a matching domain, and we'll say it blocks, not it marks. And so we can come in here, and what we probably want to do is say blocked domain.create, or we can maybe just use new block domain.new, say team, and we'll say teams Acme, and domain of hotmail.com. And then we'll basically check and say expect customers Alex to be blocked. And we'll run this. And no fixture Alex for customers. So Acme Alex, that's what it was. And we'll run this again. And it did not block. So let's find out what went wrong. So we've got teams, domain. Oh, and we're not actually calling anything, so we need blocked. Or we can maybe just put it on the end here. And we'll say block matching customers. Run that again. And that now passes. So that's good. While we're in here, I'm going to write the reverse of this. So we'll copy this and we'll say unblock matching customers. And we'll say it unblocks customers with matching domain. The only difference here we're going to do is we'll take our customer and we'll update and we'll make them blocked before anything happens. And we'll say expect them not to be blocked. So we'll run this. And we get no method error. So we can come in here and copy this code. We'll say unblock. And we'll say blocked to be false. Actually, let's leave that as true first so we can see this test fail. And expected it to be falsy and got true. So we can now move this back to false and we'll rerun that test, and still fails. So what's going wrong now? So update all blocked false. Is it because we need to call .reload here? Yeah, that's it. So what we'll do here instead is we'll go up. Let's get this out of the right. So let's create a let here for customer. And we'll run that, and then we can say customer.reload. That should be fine. So let's run that. And let's run the full suite. That's all passing. Okay, so we've got this method here, which we obviously don't need just yet, but I know we are going to need it eventually. So we can close some files down here. And we've got our request specs, which we'll run again just to make sure everything still works, which it does. And now we can go back to our view and start to wire this up. So the first thing I'm going to just do is open a terminal and find the name of the route. So we'll go to here and we'll say bin rails routes, and we'll grep for block. So we've got block domains path, which is what we want. And we can go to block domain button, and we'll just go in here and say block domains path, and we want method post, confirm, are you sure? And we want this to be a button too, I think, because we want to pass some data with this. So let's go and look up button 2, because I think there's params you can pass. Say nil options, HTML options. Params, there we go. So hash parameters to be rendered as hidden fields within the form. That's exactly what we want. So we've got button 2, we've got block domains path, we can say params, and we'll say params email is the customer email. So message thread.customer.email. And that's already method post, which is good. So let's see what happens here. Block this domain, click it. Are you sure? Cancel. And if we click OK, we go to advids, and we've got you're not receiving message because this person has been blocked. And if we go back to threads, they're now gone. What's interesting is the other one is gone too. So if we go to customers and we have amy@advids.com is blocked, david@advids.com is also blocked. So that's working perfectly. And yeah, now we can go to our settings, and what we'll want to do in here is basically add a block domains page, list out those domains with a remove button. So when blocking, look for all customers with that domain and mark them as blocked. We've got that done. On customer creation, block them if their domain is found in the blocked list. So that's actually the next thing we want to work on, is when customers are created, have them blocked. So customers get created through 3 different ways. Currently, we have action mailbox, which receives inbound email and has a method here for looking up the customer, and that will call first or initialize based on their email address, and if they exist, just return them. If they don't exist, then we'll check. We'll basically parse the email for their name and save them. So what we also then want to do here is basically have a method on our block domain. So sometimes I just like to write out code to figure out what the API of it should be. So if we say like customer.blocked equals and blocked domain, it's going to need to have the current team actually. So ensure team is the very first thing that runs, which is good. And that sets at team. So we can say at team dot blocked domains, and we'll have a method that just is like blocked and pass in the from email. And what we want is this blocked method to return true or false, basically, if the domain found in here is blocked. So that's the API we want. We'll comment that out for now, because we want to write a test first of all that it blocks those customers, but also like maybe drop down to the unit level and just write this first. So if we go to our blocked domain and go to the specs, and we'll put a new context in here, and we'll just say blocked, and returns true if the domain, if the email's domain is blocked, and then it returns false if the email's domain is not blocked. So let's first just go in and write this negative case, because we know by default nothing will be blocked. So if we go blocked domain dot blocked, and we'll just say like apple.com, we'll expect this to be false. And undefined method blocked, so we'll say self.blocked and then email, and we'll just write false and then rerun that test, and that should pass, which it does. And then we can come in and go for the harder part. So copy this code across and expect domain blocked. So let's go in, and we need a team for a blocked domain, so we'll say blocked domain.create. Say team is teams acme, and domain we'll just say apple.com again, and then expect that this is true and run that. And we expect true, but we got false. And let's go in here, and we can just replace this with like a where domain matches the domain from email, and we can put on the end of that just .any, I think. And now let's run, and expect true got false still. And let's run this one, and it still passes. So something is going wrong. So domain from email, we are passing in the domain, so we actually need to pass in yeah, like Tim at apple.com for both of these, and rerun this. That now passes, which is great, and this should still fail, and it does. So we'll run the full suite here just to double check everything works, and it does. So that's fine. Now threads mailbox, then we want to mark a customer blocked if the domain is blocked. So we can go to the specs for this mailbox, and I'll look through, and there we have one for when the customer is blocked. So we can instead say when the customer's domain is blocked, and we'll not block this customer, so we'll leave that unblocked. And we maybe want a reference to the customer, so we want to say let customer, and we'll send mail to them. We want to say before do, and we want to say team.blocked domains.create, and we'll say the domain is then hotmail.com. And what we actually want is, yep, it doesn't send a notification and blocks the customer. And then we can go in here and say expect customer dot reload to be blocked. Although I think the way that we're building this is we're going to expect existing customers will be blocked already. So we maybe actually want to get rid of that customer and we want to send a mail. So let's go down. So we maybe actually just want to come up with a fresh new email address. So we'll say like frank@hotmail.com, and we want to look up customer.last, and we'll also then say that customer.last.email equals, just to make sure that we're looking at the right database record. And we can probably bring this out to a variable. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So undefined local variable or method team. And we have team. So we need to reference this directly. So teams acme, and then run this again. And they are not blocked, which is fine because we haven't put the code in yet. So now if we put this in and rerun that test, and it now all passes. So I'm just going to run the full suite of tests here just to make sure everything is currently working. And it is. And now we can carry on this style to the other areas. So that was the mailbox, which is great. And then we have a messages API, and our messages API basically looks up customers based on a JSON web token that has like a shared secret going on with third party, either using the Happy widget or if you integrated with our API directly. So we look up your customer and upsert by JWT. So what we want to do is load up that customer, and let's go in here. We've got tests for this upsert by JWT. So it says what it does. It creates a new customer when they don't exist, updates customers when they do exist, but we can go in here and say it blocks customers whose domain is blocked. And we can copy this across, and let's say we've got pedro@hey.com. So we want to block all of hey.com, and we've got team here, so we can say team blocked domains dot create with the domain of hey.com, and then we expect that the customer we expect them to be blocked. And we'll run this and it should fail because we're not currently putting that code in. Now if we go back into our customer and we parse all the data, if they're existing, update stuff, if they're not, we create them. And what we want in here is, we've got the payload, we want to merge in, and we want to merge in blocked is then, do we have team? Yeah, so team's passed in here, which is perfect. So we can say team blocked domains dot blocked, and we want to do that by their email, so payload email. And there should be a question mark on the end here. So we'll save this and go back to our test and run it. And they're blocked. And what we probably want to do is just for sanity check, go into the other ones and expect them not to be blocked. And we'll run that. And again, just run the full suite just to double check everything still works. So now that we've got all of this working, we can go to the third and final place. So I believe that is in the UI. So you can go into customers and hit manually add and manually add a customer here. So we'll just want to tie into that controller. So I'm just going to clear out a load of files here, and we'll just open this. So on customer creation or through customer UI. So that's the last part of this. So we'll go to our controllers, customers controller, and the create action. And hopefully there's specs written for this already. So we can go to requests, customers request specs, and we can go down, post customers block and unblock. We don't have a spec for customer creation, so we'll write one anyway here quickly. Let's say first name Bob, last name can also be Bob, and email can be bob@example.com, and then we can expect customer dot last, expect customer dot email to equal bob@example.com. We'll hit run on that, and undefined local variable or method customers path. For now I'll just do customers here like this and run it again. And what do we get? Post is not available on an example group. Oh, it's because I'm just being an idiot here, and we need an it block, and we need to say it creates a customer. And then I can pull all this in, and hopefully now this will work. And so it didn't create the customer, and let's look in the controller here. So we've got current team, and if customer saves, so what validation is failing. So we validate first name presence true, email presence true, and uniqueness to the team ID. And are we signed in? Yep, we are signed in. And let's just check the customer controller for params. So params require customer permit name email company. Okay, so this has to just go through as name. So we just say like Bob and run this again. And now that passes. So now we can say it creates a blocked customer when their domain is blocked. And we can go here and say team, which I think we've got team set up at the top. Nope. So let's just do that. Let team be teams Acme. And then we can come back down here and we'll say team.blocked domains.create. And we can say domain is then, let's say example.com. and now we expect that customer to be blocked, and we'll leave that email check-in as well. So that's not working because we haven't added the code for it yet. So if we can back up to our create action here, and what we can do is just merge into this, and we can say blocked is if the current team dot blocked domains dot blocked, and then we need to say customer params email, and we can hit save on that, and now rerun. That works. So let's run all the tests in that suite again, and let's run just all the tests across the board again, just to make sure. And that now works. So if we just sanity check that, and we'll create a new customer, we'll say Gene at advids.com, and we'll go down, hit save, and as you can see, Gene is created as blocked because the advids domain is already blocked. So that's perfect. As I say, the last part of this then is creating a remove UI in here. So let's take a look at that. So we've got this part done, and we want to just create the remove UI. So let's go to our routes, and we can go down to settings, and what we can say here is get blocked domains. Hit save, and then we can go to our settings controller, and we'll add in block domains here, and we can look up these as well. So we can say at block domains is current team dot block domains, and maybe we want to order these by domain. Hit save, and then we want to create a view file for this. So we can go app views, settings, and we can create block domains.html.arb, and we'll just put that in for now, and go to our settings nav, and we can go down. I want to keep billing as the last item in here, so we'll copy this link, and we can say block domains settings path, page is block domains, and let's just say blocked domains. Save that, and let's go reload our settings. So we've got block domains. We need an icon here. I think I'm using hero icons, so we'll go in and search for something like block, copy the SVG, and then we'll just copy the class from this. Paste it in here, and then if we reload this, you can see we've got block domains with this icon, and when we click on it we get block domains, but we need to go to one of our other settings pages and basically copy some stuff here. So let's see, let's just copy the contents of this one, and we have settings.heading, current team, and partials nav, and page is then blocked domains, and then we have an h3 here which lists out, so we'll say blocked domains, and we can probably just get rid of all of this and get rid of everything in here, and just see how this looks. So that's better. So we've got block domains in here, and we can list those out. Similarly to emails, actually. Is it emails? Team members, maybe? Similar to team members, actually, we can loop over them and have a remove button. So we'll maybe copy the styling of that and just put it in this list. So if we go to our team and render team members, so that'll be looping over team users, I think. So yeah, let's take this and we'll go here and loop over these. So we'll say at blocked domains dot each do blocked domain, and then paste in this code. And we don't need this form at the bottom, so we can get rid of that. And let's see, data ID, block domain ID, block domain.domain is the main part in here. And then I think we can get rid of all of that. And then we have a link to here, which is a remove. So we'll just put in the text here saying remove. Unblock actually might be the best way to put it. And link to. So we've got a link to here, and what we had before was a blocked domains controller with a destroy action. So so if we go back here and search for our block routes, we have blocked domain path, and we want to pass the block domain into that to get its ID. We've got method delete, which is perfect. Are you sure? And yeah, I think, let's see if this works. So we've got undefined method block domain for action view base, and that's because we need underscore path on this. So now we can see, there we go, advids.com, we've got our unblock action, which right now won't do anything because we haven't put that controller method in yet. So let's go and do that quickly. So we can go to our app controllers block domain controller, and we'll want to open the request spec for that as well. So spec requests, and we've got block domain. So we've got our tests here for creating a new one, and we want to add tests for delete blocked domains ID. And we'll just say it deletes the blocked domain. And we'll write another one here saying it unblocks all customers with that domain. So let's first just write this one, and we'll say delete. Maybe these would just be better as two things. So and unblocks the domain. So we'll say delete blocked domains, and we probably need to create one first. So up at the top we have customers, we need a team. So let's say teams Acme. So we can go in here and first let's say let blocked domain and let's say team.blocked domains.create domain apple.com. And then we can go in here and paste in block domain.id, and let's expect that this changes blocked domain count by -1. The other thing we want to expect then is the response, expect response to redirect to, and we probably just want to come back to the same page, so it'll be blocked domains settings path, and we'll just put a flash message or something in there. So that's the first step we can do, so we'll run that, and yep, expected a redirect but was a no content. So we can come in here and go to our destroy action, and we can do redirect to block domain settings path, and then we get a failure because we expected the count to have changed by -1, but it was changed by 1. So the other thing is here, this is increasing by 1 because we haven't created this before we've run this code. So we actually want to make this a let bang so that it runs before the actual test does. So if we run this again, so this is better error. So expected to change by -1, but it's changed by 0. And now we can go in and say current team dot blocked domains dot find by the ID, and we can call it destroy on that. So now our test is passing. Now we can go in here and check that it unblocks users. So we'll also want to have a before action here that says, let's say team.customers.create, and let's say name is Bob, email is bob@apple.com, and let's just set them to block true. And we want a reference to them instead actually, so we'll say let Bob and then we can go down here and we can say expect Bob not to be blocked. Actually, bob.reload, yeah, that's what we need. So let's run that, and I'm expecting it to fail, which it does. And what we can do in here then is basically we want to look up this block domain first. So we'll say block domain is this, then we can destroy it, but then we can also call on it unblock. So let's find this unblock matching customers, then destroy the record. So now if we go to our RSpec and run that, it should pass, and it still does not. So our team Bob's not being created. Again, Bob needs that, so let's run, and now it's passing. So that just means Bob will be created before any of this code runs, whereas in the previous example Bob was being created right at this line rather than and after this request ran. So that's why wasn't working. So that is working now. That's good, and it does the redirect. So now if we come back here and if we go to customers, you can see we've got 3 AdVids accounts. They're all blocked. If we go back to our settings page, then our block domains, unblock, we come back, the block domain's gone, and all our customers are now back in action. And if we go to our threads, their emails are back in. So again, we can go through and block this domain, and you can see it's blocked them all again. So that was basically the full feature I wanted to build. I think it was quite an interesting one, and it touched on a lot of different parts, and especially around how to write tests for things and where to put those. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to help out. And yeah, if you have any future ideas for content you'd like to see, please let me know.